Welcome everybody. My name is Tommy, and today GoPro made an announcement unveiling the new GoPro Hero 8. We made a video about this yesterday. There's some speculation, there's some rumors, but now we know everything you need to know before you buy the new GoPro Hero 8. Let's get right into it. All right, let's go ahead and start with the build and the design of the new GoPro Hero 8. It is very similar to the 7. It has that same kind of matte gunmetal color to it, that same finish, but there are some changes. Starting with the most notable on here, it's going to be that frameless mount system. It has those folding fingers that we looked at yesterday. We kind of knew that was coming. And my first hesitation when I saw that was going to be its durability. Is this going to be made out of some cheap type of plastic? Is it going to be something that's accidentally going to snap off when we're removing it and things like that? It is made out of metal. It is supposed to be more durable. However, on the GoPro website, you can already buy the replacement piece for $30. So, read into that how you will. So now you can mount your GoPro on things like your Gorilla Pods and your pole mounts and your head mounts and your chest mounts and all the different various mounts without the cage. So, whatever that means to you, let's move on. Now with those folding fingers on the bottom, if you guys remember in the GoPro Hero 7, that's where the battery door was. That is no longer. They have moved it to the side, as well as the USB-C port, okay? There is no longer an HDMI out port on the camera at all. So if you want to connect this to a TV or to a monitor to review video, you can no longer do that, as the camera is just like this out of the box. We'll get into other ways to do that here in a moment, but the battery door has been moved to the side. I have heard by watching some of the hands-on videos that battery door can be a little wonky, but this one's not perfect, especially if you get a little salt water in there or if it's cold out. So I'm not too worried about that, but just something to consider. It's on the side. It is worth noting with the USB-C port under the same door as the battery, as well as the SD card, if you want to use that mic adapter, you're going to have that door open or off and exposing your battery, exposing your SD card. So, I'm not sure I'm a fan of that. It is worth noting that the bottom microphone will be underneath one of those folding fingers if you have those folded up. So something to consider. I don't know how that's going to play into the performance of the microphone, but we'll find out. Now, one of the things that we saw on the GoPro Hero 7, as well as the 6 and the 5, and I don't remember how much further back it went, but we could remove the lens cap, the lens cover, okay? And we had to do this if we were going to put it into the super suit for diving, but you could also put different lens caps. If this one got scratched, you could put ND filters and different things like that. That is no longer. The Hero 8 Black now has a one-piece lens, and that leaves questions about, are we going to be able to use ND filters on this? What happens if you scratch the lens or damage it? You're going to have to either be out of camera or you're going to have to send that back into GoPro to be repaired. I do like that the lens fits into the protective housing if you're going to be underwater diving, compared to the last model with the super suit, how you had to always take the lens off to put it inside of that. And then when you pulled the GoPro out, if you were going to film yourself just to protect your glass, you're always putting that lens back on. But it's probably a good idea to go ahead and get that tempered glass for the lens and the LCD screen. It is $40 to buy that on the GoPro website. I would recommend probably going on Amazon. Moving on. You still have the record button on top, the mode button on the side, and all of the touchscreen functionalities on the back, as well as a few more that we'll get into here in just a moment. And you can still use all of the same voice commands. If I was going to pick a winner between the GoPro Hero 7 and the GoPro Hero 8, just on build and design, I still think the 7 reigns supreme. I don't think those fingers on the bottom are necessary. I don't think it's necessary to have cageless mounting. In fact, I kind of like the cages because you can easily just kind of slide your camera in there, boom, take it out, put it in another housing. If you have, something hanging from a suction cup above your head and different mounts and you only have like 1 or 2 cameras to move around, I think that's easier than having to undo the screw every single time and then move it to another spot. I'm also not sold on the one-piece lens. I think it's just easier and it's safer to be able to remove that and replace it for $15, $20 if you need to. I do like that the new housing fits with the lens on there, but again, it brings up the questions about ND filters, replacement, things like that. I just think it was easier the old way. Finally, I'm not a big fan of the location of the USB-C port being under the same door as the battery and the SD card. I think it was fine when it had its own little side door action there. And same thing with the HDMI out. You no longer have that. Not that I used it a whole lot, but it was nice to have that if you're on the go and you wanted to review your video on like a larger screen or something like that. Next, we're going to get into the mods, and I think this is the thing that sets the GoPro Hero 8 apart from the GoPro Hero 7 is the mods or the accessories, and it starts with the media module. The media module, or what I like to call it the mothership, is the central hub, the must-have module for anything else to work with it, is going to be a cage that goes around the outside of the GoPro Hero 8, and it has an external microphone, like a shotgun style mic, facing the front. It also has an HDMI out port that you can connect to your LCD screen, as well as 2 cold shoes. I know in my video yesterday, I thought that they were going to be hot shoes. I should have known better. The GoPro battery isn't good to begin with. Why would they be powering lights and LCD screens with that? So these are actually cold shoes. You will have to power the light and the LCD screen separately, but that's probably for the better. Also on the media mod, you have a 3.5 millimeter audio input. So if you want to add your own microphone to the top, maybe this one is not doing it for you, you can still do that without having to use any adapters. Next up, we have the display mod. This is just going to be a 2-inch LCD screen that you can flip up so you can see yourself when you're taking video. It does have its own rechargeable battery, and you can also plug that in via that HDMI out port so that you can see what you're filming. And again, that just attaches to the media mod. So you have to have the mothership if you want to have the display mod. Last but not least is the light mod. As the name suggests, this is just an external light so that you can light yourself up if you're going to be in a dark room or something like that. If you're on the go and you're trying to shoot, a vlog or some type of dialogue. This light is going to be 200 lumens at the max. It's going to have 4 levels of brightness, and at the max, you're going to get 6 hours of burn time, and that's on the very lowest setting. It says here at 20 lumens, you're getting 6 hours. At 60 lumens, 2 hours. At 125 lumens, which is level 3, you're getting 1 hour, and then it doesn't actually give a specific time for the overdrive mode, which is that 200 lumen setting. I'm guessing it's going to be around 30 minutes. One neat feature about this light, it is waterproof up to 33 feet, as is the camera itself. So if you wanted to go underwater and you needed additional light, you can take this with you. All right, elephant in the room, what is all of this going to cost you? We know the camera is $400. That's before taxes or anything like that. You're also going to want to have the GoPro Plus subscription in case you damage something with the camera. You can send it back and they will fix it for you, supposedly no questions asked. But now we're talking about these mods. The mothership or the media mod is $80, and you need that to run any of the other mods or accessories. I don't like this word mod, but the display mod is also $80 and the light is $50. So we're talking $210 just for those 3 attachments if you wanted to get all of them. If I was to pick a winner between the GoPro Hero 7 and the GoPro Hero 8 in the mods, I guess I would pick the 8 because it has mods. But if you do not need any of those mods, then, there's the 7 also. All right, moving on. Let's go ahead and talk about the performance of this camera. Starting from the top, we're going to talk about photos. All right, you still have that same 12 megapixel sensor that you had in the 7, except now you have the new Super Photo HDR, which is supposed to fix some of the ghosting issues that they were having in the 7. New to the GoPro Hero 8 is the live burst mode. This is a lot like the live photos that you have on your iPhones, where now when you take a picture, it's going to basically record a 3-second video and you can go through and pick out exactly what slide or what frame you want as your photo. Last but not least, GoPro has rolled out raw photo capture for all photo modes. It also comes with a company JPEG file so that you can view that on your screen. So that's good. You're going to get more information, better quality photos, etc., etc. Video. The thing that excites me here is 100 megabits per second, up from 78 on the GoPro Hero 7. That just means more data, more information means higher quality footage. Downfall, it means more memory. So you're going to eat through those SD cards a little bit quicker if you're shooting in 2.7K or 4K. The only other big change is that you can shoot in 4K 60 frames in linear mode. Okay, you could shoot 4K 60 before on the 7 in wide. Now you can shoot linear. So if you want to match that footage to something like my Sony a7 III here, it's going to look a lot more like your typical camera without that fisheye distortion. The other noticeable change in resolution is that you can now shoot in narrow mode in everything from 2.7K and down. It looks pretty much like linear mode to me. I'm sure some of you guys are going to say, no, it's absolutely different, but come on, it looks the same to me. Also, they have removed 960 and 720p. I don't know why anybody would be filming in that unless you're like really crammed on storage. So that's gone with the 8. The next two features that GoPro is really pushing is the Time Warp 2.0 and the Hyper Smooth stabilization. If you guys remember with the GoPro Hero 7, they brought in the Hyper Smooth stabilization and it was way better than the 6. Now they have this Hyper Smooth stabilization. How many times I'm going to say that? 2.0 as well as Time Warp 2.0. The differences are now with the Hyper Smooth stabilization, there it is again, you can use it on all shooting modes. So now you can shoot in 4K 60 frames per second, linear mode with Hyper Smooth stabilization. There's also available with some of the shooting modes a boost stabilization button so you can get it even more stable. I think it crops it in a little bit. The Time Warp on the 7 was really cool. Now they've introduced the 2.0, which has added in an auto feature. Before you had to kind of select what speed you wanted the Time Warp to go. Now it has auto and it detects the speed that you're moving and just does it for you, which I think that's really cool. I'll probably check that out when I get my hands on it. All right, settings, presets, and customizable profiles. I cannot believe that GoPro doesn't have this yet, but now we do. We have the ability to create custom profiles and have specific settings that we want on every single one of those profiles, whether we want to have one profile for shooting in slow motion, one profile for shooting at night, one profile for shooting something different. I don't know. But now you have that option and you can just simply click one button rather than going in and, moving things around to just get it just right. There's also a note in here about the customizable screen shortcuts. I haven't seen any examples of that yet, but for me, anything that's going to make the workflow more efficient is a plus. So I think that's a good thing. Whether or not I'll utilize it, yeah, we'll see. Last but not least, at least if you're into live streaming, you have the option to now stream in 1080p, whereas with the 7, you could only stream in 720 to things like Facebook Live and YouTube. So if you're into that, you have that option. I do live stream every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Shameless plug right here on this channel. So if you're into photos and editing and things like that, come check me out. In conclusion, which camera should you buy? It depends, right? It depends on what you're going to be using it for. For me personally, I would suggest this. If you do not have a GoPro and you are choosing between the 7 and the 8, I would get the 8. $70, you get a few more features. A lot of little things add up actually to be a big thing. We're talking new Hyper Smooth stabilization, better HDR, better with the Time Warp, and then you have all of these options with the mods. If you already have a GoPro Hero 7, you have to ask yourself this. Am I going to use the mods? Because that's really the major difference, right? There are some small differences within the camera itself, but the major difference is the mods. So if you are a vlogger and you want that LCD screen so you can see yourself, or you need that light because you're vlogging at night, I don't know, then yeah, I would suggest going ahead and making that upgrade and getting the 8. I know GoPro has a trade-in, trade-up program, so if you don't want to keep your 7, you could maybe get a few shekels for that. But I think if you're not using those mods, then the 7 is still just as good. In fact, I think they probably could have called this camera the GoPro 7 Vlogger or the GoPro 7 Plus. I don't know that enough has changed to call it a whole new generation, except now you can't take the lens cap off. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It'll really help me out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Continuing with the build, we still have 3